So, welcome to the Habits of Health Power Half Hour, where we go through Dr. A's Habits of Health one section at a time so that you can create a powerful knowledge base that will equip you for your journey into optimal health and lifelong well being. My name is Cassondra Reagan, and I am an independent Optavia coach. Today, we finish up section 2.1 of the Habits of Health as we introduce one of our 6 macro habits of health, the habit of healthy weight management. This habit sounds very similar to one of the other 6 macro habits, the habit of healthy eating and hydration. But while there is some overlap, like with all the other habits, the habit of healthy weight management is different in that it isn't so much about what you eat, though it is, but rather about that lifelong strategy to not only reach a healthy weight, but to optimize your weight so that you can achieve a longer, richer life. So, over the next few weeks, as we discuss this macro habit, we will cover a range of concepts from understanding the phases of weight loss, measuring and assessing your progress, examining the principles of energy intake and insulin pump management, which sounds difficult, but I'm going to make it easy, okay? So much more. There's so much more. But healthy weight management isn't synonymous with healthy weight loss. While reaching a healthy weight is actually a component of healthy weight management, it's not the entire strategy. And I think that's where a lot of people trip up, is that they get to a healthy weight, but then they don't have any of the strategies to maintain it for life. So we have to have all the tools in place to keep the weight off. And that will actually involve educating ourselves on the whys and hows of this process. So, in this episode, we begin something called weight management phases. Why do we start here? If you remember several episodes back, we must always know our current reality so that we can map out our path to our desired outcome. We have to understand this weight management path is not a place that we arrive at, but rather a road we travel. So, for example, I've been at my goal range for about 3 years now, but as my coach can tell you, it has been a progressive up and down journey of learning and experience as I still incorporate more and more of the tools found here in this book. Dr. A calls it a continuum of progressive mastery. And to make it easier for us to understand, he designed 4 progressive stages to the weight management program. He says the phases are dynamic states of active intervention to create progressively healthier states of being. What does progressive, dynamic, and active mean? So simply put, you will be moving through these stages, continuously learning and gaining more understanding, and consequently, you'll be gaining more momentum. So let's look at 2 graphics that illustrate these phases. All right, so Dr. A calls this your new energy path to optimal health and longevity. So notice there's 5 phases, but 4 active phases. The first phase is kind of like a prequel phase, and it's your before. It's where you have excess weight, you're considered obese, right? And you are ready to change. So what I want you to notice in this graph, notice the little gray pebbles that the little man is sitting on, and then below that, notice the little brown pebbles. So if you will notice, the gray pebbles are actually energy in, which calories are a measurement unit of energy, okay? So notice that his energy in is actually higher than his energy out. So he has a caloric surplus, which is contributing to his abdominal fat gain, all right? When we enter phase 1, some things are going to have to shift. So notice how the little gray pebbles, they kind of go down on the spectrum, and then your energy out relatively stays the same. But the energy in has dropped. That means your caloric intake has dropped. Caloric intake has dropped, but you're still eating nutritionally dense foods. What this has created, without you actually changing anything in your activity level, if you'll notice, is a caloric deficit. So the caloric deficit contributes to abdominal fat loss. So that's phase one. Phase two, I want you to notice that where before your energy out had remained relatively the same, suddenly there's an increase in energy out. But phase two is also the phase at which you've already reached your goal weight. So you're going to start increasing your caloric intake and adding a variety of foods. Phase three is optimization. Another word we use for this is maintenance. At this point, you have again increased your energy out. A lot of times we use exercise for this word, but you've also increased your energy in. So look how much more food you are consuming at this point. So this phase three and phase four, longevity, certain things begin to shift where you move from optimization into longevity. And longevity simply means you put things in place to give you a longer life. Let's look at the second graphic. Your weight management phases. Again, we have your pre-phase, your phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's just another way to show you you're going to move from weight loss into a healthy weight, which actually is where we go to transition. Phase 3 is optimization, and phase 4 is longevity. So while these two graphics give you an idea of what your progression from obesity to optimal health will look like, how do we even assess where we are personally in this continuum? To judge our progress, we will use 3 different measurements to establish our current phase in our weight management. 1, body mass index. 2, waist circumference. And 3, body fat percentage. All right, this is the body mass index. This is the gold standard because of its simplicity. But when you combine it with your waist circumference, it provides an accurate assessment of whether we are at a healthy weight or not. Now remember, the body mass index is a range. It's not a specific number. So because it is a range, it actually accounts for big boned, extra muscle. It gives you a healthy idea of where you should be. And studies have proven that those who have a healthy BMI have drastically reduced their risk of disease. That second parameter of healthy weight assessment is your waist circumference. So this allows us to evaluate the visceral or organ fat accumulation, which is a very good indicator of whether your extra fat poses a health challenge. So your health is at risk if your waist size in men is over 37 inches. For women, over 31.5 inches. Now, the reality is that this may be different for different body shapes. I'm very apple shaped. So I was 10 pounds within a healthy BMI, and still it took me that much to get to 31.5 in my abdomen. Now, some people are pear shaped. They may actually achieve a healthy waist circumference before they reach a healthy BMI. That's why it's important that you meet both of these milestones. And the third parameter is actually body fat percentage. Now, tracking body fat, if you have an accurate source available, can offer a third source of measurement to assess your current weight management. The issue, though, is it's really difficult to find accurate measurements unless you have access to a bod pod or a DEXA scan, or someone who can help you use a set of skin calipers. Unless you can find that, these numbers aren't super accurate, like on electrical impedance devices, for example, smart scales. Now, for me, I'm 46. If you'll notice that these body fat percentages are actually age dependent. So what's interesting, on my smart scale under female, if you look at normal, the normal body fat percentage is 23 to 34%. On my smart scale, I measured at 27.3%. But recently, about 2 weeks ago, I went and had a DEXA scan, which is almost like an MRI. They do bone density measurements as well. On my DEXA scan, it said I was 35.3%. I actually highly suspected that this would be the case, but because simply Because of my large weight loss, I have a lot of tissue in my abdomen and in my arms. And so I suspected that would be the case. But I was actually pretty surprised that my smart scale and my actual body fat percentage reading was so varied. So my goal at this point is I want to at least get in that healthy 23 to 34% body fat percentage. So those are the three measurements to assess what phase you are in. For the most part, most people are going to find themselves in that obese range, moving into phase one, which is weight loss. When you achieve a healthy BMI and a healthy waist circumference, then you will find yourself where you need to be. So this is where you can actually assess where you are. If you are greater than 24.9 BMI, and if your waist circumference is greater than 35 inches, you are in that overweight or obese category. If you are in phase one, the goal is to reach less than 25. That'll put you 24, correct? Your waist circumference is 31.5. And of course, body fat percentage is optional. As you reach your goal weight in a healthy BMI, healthy waist circumference, you will move into phase two. It still has the same parameters of BMI and waist circumference, but at this point, you're going to be moving into eating healthy for life, which means that you're going to be increasing your caloric intake while adding a variety of foods and increasing your energy output, which is your exercise, until that brings you to phase three. Phase three is optimization. This is maintenance. This is where your BMI is less than 25. Look, now your waist circumference is 31 inches. And this is an exciting phase when you're eating all this healthy food, and it's a lot of food, and you are adding healthy motion, sleep, stress reduction, and other habits of health to support optimization. And finally, there's something called longevity. This is part of your journey where you're moving into something that we will describe later as ultra health. It's where your BMI is between 21 to 24.9. Your waist circumference is less than 29. And there's also some body fat percentage goals. But the reality is, at this point, you are increasing your activity, cutting back just a little bit on your energy output. And the whole goal, of course, this is a personal choice, but the whole goal is to live longer. That studies have shown when your BMI is between 21 to 24.9 and your waist circumference is less than 29 inches, those individuals live longer. And isn't that the goal? To have more time on earth with the people you love and to be able to have more time on earth to pursue what you're most passionate about. So that's it for today, my friends. Next week, we begin section 2.2 and we explore the lifelong strategies behind the weight management. If you're catching the replay, don't forget to like and share below. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.